Give your tests, give your assignments to a model, see how well it does. Hopefully, it doesn't scare you too much. But if it's able to do a lot, I think that's something that you should know. Because as we are all seeing, students are trying that themselves. So you might as well know. Okay, so another question here, and we're kind of wrapping up here. We're going to get to a little group activity in a sec. If your colleague said to you, so this is going off that idea of benchmarks. If your colleague says, Claude read all my students' papers, gave them feedback, what would you say? What are some questions that you have? Is this a good benchmark for the model's performance? Is this something that you would question? Awesome. Love. Sorry. Was it good? I'm curious, if anyone who said love, awesome, wants to share, I'm curious what you're thinking. No? Okay, that's fine. You can talk in your groups about it. Amazing, good. How did you know it did a job well? Expert. So maybe good, maybe questionable. Really depends on your perspective. What are you trying to get out of this model? Is this a good benchmark for your class? Is this a good benchmark to understand its performance? All things to consider. And ethically navigate. Yeah, okay. So now we're going to do some small group activities. So in your tables, choose either A or B. Just choose one and talk about it in your groups. I'll let you read it from the screen, but we'll take, how much time do we have? 15? Okay, so we'll take like, I don't know, 5-10 minutes, and then we'll come together and talk a little bit about it, and that's about it for Module 1. Cool? Yeah. When we start sharing, we can walk around with this? Yeah. Okay. This one is working. This one. Oh.
It's using Zoom, so people talk to this one, should solve this one and so on.
Smart.
That's
Smart.
look at Zoom. Okay.
Is this all good now? Like, it's okay?
It's okay.
Yeah. That's true. That's okay. I'm not that concerned. I'd rather them talk. Yeah. I've been timing myself. Really? But then I forgot what it helps to know what time you're aiming for.
Essa última, esse último slide, por favor.
What are you working on? Slides? Got it. Are you able to reuse slides for the second part of the trip? Or is it different?
O problema da primeira é o Generative. O pessoal do TF lá fez essa pessoa na saia. Cara, quem ganhou a
I don't know what they're doing with the photos, but if we can get his for Kingsley, that would be better than whatever you and I take. Kingsley, right? Oh, okay. I'll take some of both of yours. Okay, another minute. Wrap up. I bell. Yeah, if I'm gonna ask them to share.
Okay.
But if they want to speak Portuguese, could you help me?
Yeah.
Okay.
Uh,
I'll walk around.
you walk around.
But
Okay.
yeah.
Okay, I'll go with you.
Okay. Yeah, I want them to be able to share.
Mhm.
Okay. Yeah? Hello? Thank you. Good talks. Everyone's sharing quite a bit. It's really good to hear everyone talking. So, who did A? A. No one likes B. Okay. Anyone want to share from group A what they talked about? And if anyone wants to speak in Portuguese, we got a translator.
I'm not an AI, okay?
Yeah.
I believe so. I'm not sure.
Any groups? Group A, anyone? Yeah. Ooh, sorry.
So we thought about this scenario,
Yeah.
and Francis shared some good ideas that he's been applying to his students. Is that instead of providing students with a question and asking them whether it's how this evolves mathematically or ethically or conceptually, providing them already the story and the answer. And inside this story and the answer, there are some errors, conceptual errors and mathematical errors, details concerning some errors. And then asking them what are the errors and how would they approach these errors. So this is the opposite way around. It's not, providing a question and then asking them to resolve this question, but providing them already the answer and asking them to understand what are the mistakes.
Yeah, that's a great strategy. Yeah, so giving students more information, telling them the answers ahead of time, but maybe not the best answer, so that they have to think more. That's a good suggestion. Any others from Group A?
Come on, guys.
Yeah, everyone's so excited to share. Wow.
Maybe you can say something. Hi.
Yeah.
So what we have included is that we mainly included problem-based and project-based learning involving multidisciplinary strategies.
Yeah.
Focusing on ethical and maybe different principles that motivate discussion. And that's the main point. And we try to include another aspects for our students to try to reach a better solution than what they can find on AI. In fact,
So a lot of very good points. And yesterday at the talk, we touched on this a little bit. The idea of giving students, you said motivation, giving students a justification for why you're asking them a certain question. So if you don't want students to be using AI, you say, I don't want you using AI because blah, 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 blah. Because maybe you need to know this for your future job. You can't just be an AI, right? Otherwise, I would just hire an AI, right? So using motivation is a very key point, making it related to their everyday lives, right? Making it something that feels authentic, that they're interested in. Like if I can choose my project and I can go down into the streets of Sao Paulo and find that thing, right, and write a paper about it, that's meaningful to me, right? That's a very good suggestion. Maybe one more from A, and then we'll go to B.
Well, we were still reflecting on, but we think that the biggest challenge is how to develop these critical thinking, because when you ask them to solve something, they can use the AI to solve something. And when you ask them to analyze some answer or something like this, they can also use the AI to do this. So it's hard to work in a way that they will develop critical thinking because of this.
Yeah, and that's a big challenge is, okay, so talk to your students about AI. Okay, I talked with them and they're still using it. What do I do? Right? We get that a lot. And a lot of the modules will give some more concrete examples and feedback so that you can do that stuff better. But when it comes to critical thinking, we're talking about skills, right? What skills are you using to critically think? What dispositions, attitudes do you have? All those things are, what beliefs do you have about the problem? Those aspects are very critical for critical thinking. And each one can be talked about specifically with your students. What are your beliefs about this problem? Why do you feel that you have to go and use this tool? And if you're using that tool, here's a strategy, right? What is that tool doing what you want it to do? How do you know it's doing what you want it to do? Asking questions like that, right? And in a disposition sense, hey, are you afraid about your own knowledge? Do you not feel comfortable trying something new? Because if that's the concern, well, then AI is just a crutch. And maybe then there's an opportunity as an educator to talk with the student more about why they feel that need. So we'll talk a lot about that in the next few modules, but critical thinking is a very hard thing for us to try to create in students, to encourage in students, and AI is making it all that much harder. So yeah, good point. Anyone from scenario B? I think we got like another minute or two. I think in the front. Thanks.
So it is quite a challenge.
Yeah.
We are discussing a little bit about the learning analytics and just think about how to measure it and how to get the students' enthusiasm. So we think about share some projects of many topics that relate to this kind of situation and to propose some kind of measure to the score of individuals and to relate to the group work that is a quite bit different from the context of the project. So you have to look of yourself and your team and how is the result of that in the fact of this kind of solution that you need or the learning you have to measure.
Yeah, yeah, great points. How do we know that a student is at risk of failing? What decisions are we making based on that evaluation? And how do we get buy-in from all of these different stakeholders to use systems and to use them in ways that align with one another? Because I could be an educator and I could be using AI in my classroom. I could have a university policy about AI, and then my students could be using AI, and all of those could be totally different. And they could be different than what people in industry are doing with AI as well. So how do we figure out aligning those different perspectives? Good points. Anyone from B, another group? Yeah.
Lucy, that's very profound, right? You have to think about how, when it comes to human mentorship, so what are we doing in our classes? If we're using this system to evaluate, we had here a great example. So not only to evaluate, but to tell them if they're right or wrong. And when we're talking about active methodologies and we are talking about bringing up a citizen, a better citizen, in our Federal University, we are all here in Federal University, we think about society very much and what we are giving back. So it comes to us that we must use AI also as a tool to help them learn with, not for them, right? So our role is still a lot. It's very profound, very related to this personalized. So we have to read our students. The AI can't do that.
Yeah. You can hold it. Yeah. Yeah. Oh, sure.
So we discussed here that one of the biggest problems is the algorithm bias. How
Yes.
do we identify it and eliminate it from the classification?
If you can eliminate it. Yeah, yeah, exactly. Yeah, how do you know that in some other module, I'll touch on a study that looked at, it was an AI system for x-rays, and it disproportionately underdiagnosed women, Black patients, Latino patients, and patients who were on Medicare, Medicaid in the United States. So how do we deal with systems that might say that an at-risk student is just at risk because they happen to be from a certain background? Yeah, definitely a big challenge. I think we'll have to close, but thank you for all the participation. And here are some, again, I wanted to put these back up. These were your responses from the beginning. When you hear an AI can replace teachers, doctors, lawyers, what do you think of? Ask yourself, has your answer changed at all? Is it the same? Would you put something else up there? Food for thought. And yeah, that's it for module 1. This slide is just there if you have any questions. So I'll open it up. And after questions, I think we go to coffee break or something for a bit. Yeah. Okay. So any questions about this before taking a break? No? Coffee? Okay. Thank you. And we'll continue in a little bit. Yeah. Two is Zayong, right?
Right. Able to log in.
If he's back on there, yeah. Get her on Zoom. Like, log in. Problem, yeah. Hi, nice to meet you.
We were in the same elevator.
Oh, okay, that was you.
I didn't ask her.
Best friends.
I don't know where is the break, but.
Who knows?
Tem uns banheirinhos, que é uma marca, você não pode passar o lens, porque fica muito próximo do mais, não é para pegar esse país, não pode estar perto. Eu acho que tem
Especially when it comes to Really fun. Exciting.
Deixar aqui tomar um café com olha a cara desse. Parecendo só do meu sangue. Aí, olha só como é que eu chego. Bem assim. Aí cheguei em casa. Você toma dois cafés. Even like with this one, I like to break. I agree with you for great recommendations. Actually, all this was. I'm trusting that. I think a lot of things are going to say, are we? So that's really right. So I am I got some friends and I know it's gonna be like yeah, you say like, oh, you say, yeah, I know. It's like you're actually maybe, you know, around the very level. Is festivals. Yeah, these are animals. Yes, except for yesterday, yeah. Already behind, yeah, already.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. It really is. They're actually meeting, so it's like, it's like skill or down to like not needed. What are the needed? Not how that. Some guys, guys actually powering the back keeper. How is and how it work? Because I think a lot of things, calculators. People thought calculators not going to back and forth, but.
Yeah. Bom.
Exactly, yeah.
O PF não reconhece você.
Yeah. Yeah, and you have the confidence to say this is AI. I did not say I swear I did not say I. And I think one thing that's what it's I hope it's trying, you know, I want to say all of this first. Yeah, like the rest of it's gonna be the work. Yeah. So. Yeah, we just did. You know, it's gonna be work that I respond for. I think the proposing so has to be actually gonna create a lot of work. There's no like kind of structured things. You know, like the box are about something. So you take your everything. Thank you. And then try how I can yeah, so here, yeah, short trip. You know, so look at the map, it's so far, it's like
Aí, tira de cima para baixo.
Oh, basically, the program has some, that it should be things. And it should like. Yeah. I know. Yes, it is. Yeah. Yeah. You're all good. All right, well, I'll let you drink coffee. Let's talk to Laura. We are having huge overview, so that can help us how to do this, how to do. Because it.
O negócio que você falou da azul era aquilo mesmo que eu falei, mudar o. Eu minimizei aqui, mas pode maximizar. Maximiza aqui. Pode fechar isso aí. Não precisa mais.
Tá, com as duas crianças.
Eu dupliquei a 3 a 4, porque deu resolução diferente. Foi só maximizar que eu minimizei.
Sim, mas o mouse fica onde?
É isso embaixo. Eu mudei para cima para baixo.
Beleza, eu fiz. Isso aqui.
Eu queria mexer aqui, não é?
Não, agora você
Aí tá funcionando, se eu quiser mexer.
Então, ia para aí.
Ela vai entrar 10h15 no computador.
And I want to give you flexibility. Yeah, well, that's what I was done. Like AI, like even the images that they created and stuff. I do this. Especially. You know, their potential and if they are dedicated or not to your class. Of course. I think I'm afraid that I try to stay okay. We are living on this planet and we are finding different things. It gives some topics that we can teach.
I don't know if you have.
Yes, but not related to do you know what's so important yet? By this policies or honor.
Obrigado. Entra no Zoom aí. Você fica mais.
Esse daqui eu não sei no seu e-mail. Tá aqui.
Isso não é porra.
Eu não sei se é por.
Yes. Can't think of way try to do and think of what we want. That's what many labs that you can really have to.
Mas tudo bem, eu já falei isso.
É o jeito da live.
Tô preparando pra entrar.
Usa a minha senha, aquela bomba de senha. Caraca. Olha, por favor.
Ela veio bastante aqui. Só que saiu muito fácil. Só que as marcas mais caras. E aí lá se fala com ela tem uma função ainda. Na hora que ela entra, um pouco mais ela pode jogar e você já tá seguindo.
Nossa, eu vou ver mesmo. É que apareceu o probleminha de uma hora. Né? Porra, e ele me pega nela, ele compra, sei lá, que porra de conversa.
É que você tá. A gente ensaiou pelo menos 3 vezes só que eu lembro que estava
Over there, we go. Sometimes. When it takes just know this. You should go.
Ah, já falando com ela que eu fui entrando. Vai levar o chat do Zoom.
There.
I will connect the audio now, okay? I make a test with the audio, okay?
Yeah, can you hear me? I can hear you.
Excuse me, it's so much noise here. I can hear you. I mean,
Yeah, can you not hear me?
Carlos, o áudio dessa TV, vem aqui pro controle e abre o áudio. O áudio da TV.
Dessa aqui.
É.
Tá feito.
Can you talk, please? Ganhou.
Yeah, can you hear me? Is it better?
We are not hearing you.
Okay, so maybe during the session time, once the room gets quieter, I can hear you. Yeah, I'm not sure whether you can hear me. I can keep talk if you cannot hear until we see if it is working.
A moment, please.
Okay.
Não adianta testar, né, Lorena? A gente testa e sempre dá problema. Não sei, não estou acompanhando. Can you speak again?
Yes, can you hear me? Is it working or not?
I don't know why it's not, your voice is not going through. A moment.
Yeah, is it a matter of Zoom or live streaming? You
my
can
fault,
hear?
I believe.
Okay. Now you can hear me?
Can you speak now, please?
Yes. Can you hear me now? Can you hear me? Is it working?
No, I'm not hearing you.
Okay. It's
No,
at
what's
least from my
happening?
side, I can see the microphone is working.
Anyway, so that we could get a microphone
In the room?
the people in the back.
A microphone you need for them?
Us, so they hear us better.
No, for the movie, no. I think so. Just a moment.
Okay.
Eu meu celular, você viu? Ah, um pouquinho.
Tá, o áudio tá lá. Eu ouvi só conversando com ela aqui.
Ela fala aqui.
É o senhor e ela.
Ela fala.
Isso. Como é que tá organizado agora?
Funny enough, I believe I can hear you from my cell phone. A moment.
Okay, so at least in your cell phone, my voice is going through.
Yeah, so your voice is going through, but I can't, for the moment, put it on the speaker.
Okay.
Let me check.
Yeah.
Caramba, ontem a gente testou, estava tudo normal. Não, o áudio que você vai colocar em casa.
O áudio dela?
Na TV. Ou no meu pessoal, por favor. Can you speak something?
Yeah, can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you on my. It's not going through to the TV.
Okay.
Just a moment. Because
Yeah.
computer is going on.
Mm-hmm.
Just a
Always
moment.
technology. Yeah.
Can you speak now?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah. Now can you speak again?
Yeah. But I hear some echoes.
Ontem estava funcionando normal. Você quer o cabo, Carlos? Você acha? A moment. E... Can you speak again?
Yes, can you hear me?
No.
In the room, no.
Não, só tem essa. A moment. Can you speak again?
Yes, I can speak. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I'm hearing you.
Yeah. Is it going through the speaker now?
Something perhaps. Figure out. Select the speaker. Oh, now can you speak now?
I can speak. Yeah, can you hear me in the room? Is it working?
I think it's working now.
Oh, finally. Yeah.
Very loud. Because I don't know how it will. Good enough. Okay? So if you can speak loud during the presentation, I believe it's better. Okay?
Okay, so I can speak loudly then? Is it fine?
Can you speak now?
Yes, I can speak. Can you hear me?
I think it's okay.
Is it okay
It's
or
okay.
yeah?
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you. Sorry for this inconvenience.
Já avisa o professor?
Como é que vai ser organizado? Ela começa e depois vai para o pessoal. Isso. How long do you think it will take your talk?
I'm sorry, what was your question?
Can you repeat, please?
What was your question? I'm sorry, I couldn't hear.
Okay. How long do you think your talk will be?
It will be about there will be some activities, but it will be about like 30 or 40 minutes of talk.
Okay, 40 minutes.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, thank you. Just to manage with the guys from the industry that are coming
Para levantar a mão, porque
Yeah.
senão vai na internet. Obrigado.
as many times as you want. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
A gente vai retomar agora.
We can reduce some activity time if it comes too difficult to manage time. So
Yeah, you can manage.
yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Minutinho da atenção. Nós vamos
So
retomar.
I'll hear you now.
Start again now with
Okay.
Dayun Kim. She will participate online. She could not come, but she'll make a talk for 30 to 40 minutes, and after that we'll have representatives from the industry that will interact, will talk to you, with you, about their expectations on AI in the labor market in the state. So without any further ado, Dayun, thank you for being here. Sadly, online. Hope next time you can come in person. Okay? So please, go ahead.
Yeah, thank you so much for inviting me to this workshop. And also, I'm very sorry for not being able to be there in person due to unfortunate situation. I really wanted to be there and I was excited about the travel, but unfortunately the situation happened. So I'm sorry about that, but I'm really glad that we can at least meet virtually and I can I am fully committed to successful workshop for these 3 days. So welcome back everyone. So this is module 2, the shifting landscape in higher education and engineering. So in this module, we will explore how generative AI is transforming both academia and industry, and what it means for the future engineering workforce. We will do the discussion. So this is the module outline. Our plan is structured around 4 key parts. We will first explore the opportunities and challenges in academia and discuss cases from industry and skill shifts. And based on what we discussed in the first and second part, we will start imagining what the future engineering workforce will look like. Then we will invite a panel of industry professionals in Brazil and learn from their own experiences and continue our discussion on the future engineering workforce. Then let's first think about opportunities and challenges in academia. So we have built-in interactive discussions as you already experienced in module 1. In this module 2, because your perspectives are really critical in shaping how we collectively respond to the changes. So especially since this module is one of the very early modules of this 3-day workshop, our discussion will give us some better idea of where we are all at, and it can set a tone of like what we collectively want to achieve at the end of the workshop. So we will first start a small group discussion around this topic about like opportunities and challenges in academia. So please break into the groups of 4 to 5, and I see that you are sitting all together with like 4 or 5 people. So please appoint a note taker and spokesperson as you will report out what you discuss in your group later. So first, before you delve into a group discussion, individually reflect on the questions listed here. So what are the biggest opportunities you see for Gen AI in higher education in general and engineering research and education specifically? So what are the challenges and risks you currently see and or anticipate? What of these opportunities and challenges do you think will be most important to address in the next 3 to 5 years? Why? So after individual reflection of like 2 or 3 minutes and discuss these questions with your groups. So during your individual reflection and group discussion, you can take some notes on the worksheet that we shared through the Google Drive. I believe you now all have access to the Google Drive. So please take some notes if you want. And then let's start first, individually reflect on these questions for 2 minutes. By the way, can you hear me well?
Yeah, Diane, we can hear you.
Okay, good.
And I turned on captions on Zoom, but it's not very useful.
Okay, so at least you can hear me in the back side of the room.
Yeah, I can. Let me go to the back of the room. So I'm sitting in the front. Let me go to the back and see if they can hear you back there.
Mm-hmm. And then now, please start a group discussion. Based on your individual reflection, you can share your thoughts about those questions with the peers in your group in the following 5 minutes.
And Diane, they said maybe at the back it was a little tough to hear. It got a little bit better this time. And then the other thing they asked was if the slide deck was in the drive, and if not, if you can upload it.
Okay, I can upload it. It can be helpful. Yeah, I will do it right now.
I'm gonna go back to my seat, but I'll keep an eye in case you need something. So.
Okay, thank you. So, okay, so I can hear you clearly, but can you at least hear some conversations are going around in
Hey,
classroom?
Diane, are you trying to get?
Yeah.
You're trying to get everyone back.
Yep. Yeah, thank you so much. So is Andrew communicated it? Yeah, so I can talk or yeah. So yeah, at least I couldn't hear what you are discussing clearly in this Zoom room, unfortunately, but I could at least hear some lively conversations are going on. So thank you very much for the great discussion. So now it's time to share some your group thoughts with the whole group. Could you share your group's top 2 themes, like 1 opportunities and 1 challenge with the room? I could invite a few groups if there is any volunteer. And Andrew, could you please help me to facilitate this because I cannot see the classroom from my side.
Yes, absolutely. All right, so we get a group volunteer as Diane was asking to share what you thought about.
So, okay, the greatest opportunity we have is that we can have students, they will become better engineers. They will be more able or more capable because they will have tools to help them. For example, we've been talking about that a mechanical engineer that doesn't know how to program, with the help of AI, will be able to make an application for his problem that will help him to solve many more problems. So this is the opportunity to create better and more empowered engineers. The challenge is that many low-level skills will be predicted by AI. So it's the problem of the junior engineering. How the person that leaves the school will go into a company to do jobs that the AI can do for them. So we see that there will be a gap, and this is already happening. You have the seniors and you don't need the juniors, but the students must become juniors, and then you don't have a space for them to train and became senior engineers. That's one of the challenges.
Thank you. All right, awesome. Can we get one more? Down, you want one more group?
Yes, please.
You get one more group there.
Okay, about the opportunity, our group think about the content personalization. You can use the AI to address different needs and gaps that each student or someone want to learn. And about the challenge is about how to access the students to really gain the competence and skill that is required in the engineering education.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much for sharing your insights. Oh, I can hear the echo. So yeah. So if I continue, definitely because of AI, the interdisciplinary collaboration can be facilitated because the skills that people like couldn't easily access before can be facilitated by AI. But at the same time, the challenges about like assessment and making sure that students get the right like actually achieve the learning outcomes that we provide from the educational institution. That's can be one big challenge. Yeah, it seems like we are having some good initial conversation. And now that we considering that generative AI is not just a new tool, it can reshape how we teach, research, and also like manage the institutions in higher education. So since you already discussed many like opportunities and challenges, I can give you some like what has been commonly discussed in research among engineering educators about what can be opportunities and challenges in academia and higher education. So in terms of teaching, some of the commonly discussed theme is like Gen AI can help us by innovating our teaching practices. So instructors can create some interactive case studies, simulate real world scenarios, or like instantly generate some alternative explanations when students struggle with a concept. When Gen AI can also create personalized learning pathways, tailoring instruction to individual students' needs. So students can receive AI driven feedback on their writing, practice problems adapted to their skill level, or guidance on career pathways that align with their own strengths and interests. So, and also Gen AI can act as a personal tutor available in 24/7. So there are also opportunities in research in higher education, such as a faculty and graduate students are already like using Gen AI to speed up some literature reviews and generate some code for data analysis or exploring some hypotheses more quickly. And this can lead to some dramatic increase in productivity. And Gen AI can also like lower the barriers between fields and foster interdisciplinary collaboration, as already you started to discuss. So AI tools can translate some technical jargons in accessible languages, so it lowers the bar of like learning some new skills that is necessary to advance the technology. So and in terms of administration, so I can handle routine tasks, freeing like faculty and staff to focus on more higher value work, such as like teaching and research. And also Gen AI can provide a critical role in making education more accessible. So we can provide some real-time translations for international students and also can provide some AI generative summaries for learners with different accessibility needs. So those are some commonly discussed like opportunities, while we cannot ignore the challenges it also raises, such as like one obvious thing is academic integrity. So it's a huge concern. How do we evaluate student learning when AI tools can generate essays or solve coding problems, as some of you already started to discuss? So we need new ways of fostering integrity, need to teach students how to use AI responsibly as part of their learning process. And skill erosion and over-reliance can be another issue. If students over-rely on AI, will they miss on foundational skills such as critical thinking, which was also discussed among your whole group share out? Then balancing efficiency with authentic skill building is a pressing concern. The data privacy is also an issue. There is also an issue of security. So universities handle some sensitive information, such as students' reports and unpublished research, or data. So the feeding this into AI systems without safeguards could like be problematic. So clear policies and secure platforms becoming more and more essential to protect both individuals and institutions. Oh, can you hear me? Okay.
Can you try again?
Yeah, can you hear me okay?
All right.
Okay. So yeah, and the institutional readiness is also a challenge. So while some universities are moving quickly to integrate AI tools, others are lagging behind. So some faculty may lack training, and IT departments may not have some like secure infrastructures, and policies may be like outdated. So institutions must invest in professional development of faculty and generate guidelines and governance structures to ensure institutional readiness. That is also a challenge. And also the equity and access gaps can be also a challenge. If some students have better access to AI tools than others, the risk we have the widening the existing gaps. So those are some like challenges and opportunities commonly discussed. So Gen AI likely like offers both promises and challenges in higher education. So we engineering educators need to think really deeply about how we can effectively and responsibly integrate generative AI in higher education system. So when we think about how we should shape our education system, an important consideration obviously is how industry is changing and how we should prepare our students for their future workplaces. So it's always important to monitor how industry is changing, especially in the era of rapid technological advancements such as generative AI. So according to the McKinsey's 2025 report, employees are using generative AI 3 times more than leaders realize. And 70% of workers expect at least 30% of their job to change within the next 2 years. And 92% of companies plan to increase Gen AI investment in the next 3 years, but only 1% say they are mature in their adoption. So what's interesting was the finding that in this report that C-level leaders are 2.4 times more likely to blame employee readiness than their own alignment, though employees already use Gen AI heavily. So 48% of employees see training as the most important factor for adoption, but nearly half feel under-supported. So that gap between employee use and organizational readiness is fairly striking in this report. And it means that students we prepare today may enter workplaces where they are already ahead of their organization's readiness. So since the workshop is not about how to prepare companies to fully harness the potential of Gen AI, I will not discuss more about that, but a biggest takeaway, I think, as an educator, can be from this report. Once the students enter the industry, most of them will be expected to be able to fluently integrate Gen AI in their workflow. That's what people are now doing, at least based on this investigation. So the McKinsey report is more broadly about industry in general, but you may also be curious more about how AI is impacting engineering practice specifically. So indeed, many people agree that AI is fundamentally reshaping the engineering practice. So American Council of Engineering Companies, ACC, in their recently published report, they say the artificial intelligence is no longer a future of concepts for engineering and design firms. It is already reshaping how organizations deliver projects, manage knowledge, and compete in their marketplace. So ACC conducted surveys and interviews with their member organizations, and some key findings was AI is enhancing, not replacing engineers. For example, think of a structural engineer. So AI can generate a multiple alternative design that meet the basic requirements, but it's a human engineer who eventually evaluates the trade-offs and balances client needs and ensures ethical and safety considerations to meet those. So the message is AI doesn't remove the need for engineering expertise and it elevates it, but only if we prepare engineers to work alongside these tools. So we do not, I know that not everyone necessarily agree with this, but at least based on their investigation of their engineering firms, like they're sharing these thoughts. The second, technology suppliers are shaping the ecosystem. So while engineering firms are adapting and integrating tools in their workflow, suppliers are building AI capabilities directly into design and analysis platforms. So the implication is suppliers are not just selling software, they are setting the pace for industry-wide adoption. And engineers need to stay aware of what's changing in their tools because the line between I use AI and the software suggests this is becoming blurred. So also the partnerships across AI vendors and CAD software tool providers and firms and professional associations, the partnership across those are becoming more critical to scale AI adoption across the industry. The third one is the growing need for AI policy and governance. As AI becomes embedded in engineering workflows, the need for policy and governance grows. Questions emerge such as like, who is accountable if AI-driven design leads to an error? How do firms ensure data used to train AI system is secure and unbiased? So professional bodies like ASCE and NCES and the organization in Brazil will likely play some role in shaping those ethical guidelines, but firms also need to develop their own internal governance frameworks, such as clear protocols for when to trust AI outputs, when to override them, and how to document decisions, those kind of things. So governance and policies for AI is not optional anymore, and it's becoming more and more essential. And finally, they've also found that the maturity varies enormously. So some firms are just running isolated pilots, like experimenting with some AI assistant here and there, while others are moving toward full strategies like budgets and governance structures and training programs in their workplaces. So this uneven maturity means that like graduates who we grow in our education system may like step into the company that where AI is like business as usual, and while other graduates are entering a company, the AI is treated as app startups. So it also means that the industry-wide standards are lagging. So for educators, this raises a challenge because like we can ask question like, how do we prepare students for such a fragmented landscape? And one answer may be like to emphasize adaptability and critical thinking over tool-specific training, so that the graduates can succeed regardless of their firm's AI maturity level. But this is just a like initial conversation starter. So we can think more about how what we found as the implication of these findings. So as a recap, like AI is enhancing talents and suppliers are shaping adoption, and policy and governance are needed urgently, and maturity of AI adoptions varies widely across different companies. So now that we've seen some like key findings, we can look more closely at the specific values the firms are realizing when they integrate AI into their engineering. So one of the clearest values is workforce enablement. So AI enables engineers by like taking routine and repetitive tasks off their plate. So this point well aligns with what McKinsey report also suggested. As a second, AI enables design innovation. So generative design options, design tools can create dozens or even like hundreds of possible solutions at the early stages of a project. So for example, an AI system might generate multiple layouts for a solar farm, and taking into account like various zoning roles and sunlight exposure and environmental constraints. The engineer then evaluates those options, bringing professional judgment to the table. This doesn't just like speed things up, like it actually widens the creative space. So engineers can explore possibilities they might not have thought of on their own, which can lead to better, more innovative solutions for clients. The third, there are clear like time savings. Like many firms use AI for document preparation, such as proposals and technical reports. So proposals that used to take like weeks to draft, and I believe like faculty will know that to draft can now be like prepared much shorter time frame. This acceleration means like firms can respond to more opportunities, reduce turnaround times, and stay ahead in highly competitive markets. Although like since everyone is using the tool now, like we are like playing the same game, but that is a different issue. But anyway, it can be a time saver. So for this, AI creates a client differentiation in a competitive bidding environment, the ability to deliver polished, data-driven, like AI-enhanced proposals can be the difference between winning and losing a contract. So firms are already using AI tools as a way to set themselves apart in the work marketplace. And there's some like quality enhancement too, like AI tools can act as a second set of eyes, catching errors or compliance issues that humans might overlook. So yeah, that is also some values to the companies. And AI can also provide knowledge access because like some challenges in engineering firm is that some knowledge are lives only in the hands of the senior engineers. So when those people retire, much of the expertise is lost. So AI-powered knowledge systems trained on past projects, proposals, and reports make the expertise available to people in the firm more broadly. So junior engineer can carry the system in natural language and get answers that would otherwise require weeks of searching for mentorship. So this can work as a democratization of knowledge, not only speeds up training, but also helps level the playing field across the global teams. So those are some points that are shared by current working engineers in the United States. So some you might agree or not agree, so that can be a point of discussion later. So now that we've seen the broader values firms are realizing from AI, we can get more concrete, like what does AI actually look like in day-to-day engineering operations? So I already shared some, but ACC also identified several use cases that are already happening in firms across the country. So let's walk through some examples. In the operation side, obviously the writing assist is a huge, one of the most time-consuming tasks for engineering tasks, delivering proposals and responding to RFPs, and AI can help with this. And the knowledge search, which I also briefly discussed, like engineering firms have like massive archives of past projects, reports, and standards. So AI can help finding information in those archives so that custom AI search tools trained on like firm data, allowing employees to ask questions in natural language. That's certainly beneficial in operation side and what's already happening in engineering firms. And the other example is also impactful, the employee support. Like firms are using AI chatbots trained on employee handbooks and HR policies and workflow documents. So if we have a new hire on like just onboarding in their workplaces, and instead of just waiting for AI HR staff to answer some routine question like how do I submit expenses and what's the process for recasting software access, AI chatbot can help with answering those questions 24/7. So that's also a benefit and what's happening in engineering firms nowadays. And about the engineering and design side, I also share some core ideas around this earlier. The first one obviously is the initial concept generation. So AI can produce dozens of design alternatives instantly, and engineers can then evaluate which ones make more sense, which ones are more feasible, and which best meet client needs. So this makes engineering judgment even more important. So engineers must still weigh like trade-offs and decide which Gen AI generative concepts to pursue. But the time saved in those early stages is enormous, and it allows teams to explore much broader design space. And site layout alternatives. So AI tools can generate alternatives and rank multiple options against constraints. And AI can help us to do like code compliance review, as I mentioned earlier, and real-time design iteration. That's also a huge. So as an engineer, adjust like design parameters, the tool provides like feedback, such as like this adjustment meets code, but adds 10% to material cost. So those kind of real-time feedback for design adjustment can be also powerful for engineers' work. So for engineering educators, this provides, I think, some valuable insights. And as I introduce some examples and trends in like aggregated forms, like from McKinsey and ACC, you may also want to know like more about what individual companies are doing. And since you may want to interact with a person in 3D rather than me behind the screen talking, so I will invite Bailey to share some examples along with some discussed skill sets. So Bailey, can you take the next few slides?
Is from Microsoft, specifically looking at their user experience and user design processes for some of their software. So, they create this software, people have to use it, but what exactly are they thinking? How are they interacting physically with it? These are all things they have to kind of go through iterative processes to determine what works and what doesn't. So really what they're implementing AI here with is a collaborator with them in this design process. So they are shifting from like static mockups to more dynamic probabilistic user flows. They're using them to co-create user experiences, which is something really popular if you're familiar with like agile frameworks, kind of going through over and over, coming up with different identities for people who may be interacting with this tool. What would their thought processes be? What is some feedback you might get from these sort of imaginary people that they're now having AI create for them? Some of the challenges that they've noted in implementing this tool is kind of an over-reliance on AI at some points, which is, I think, something we all kind of are experiencing in the classroom anyway. So we can see that that doesn't end once they kind of join the workforce. And some other things they're kind of concerned about is if the outputs that AI is generating actually align with Microsoft's brand, if it can create consistent results. So if I'm trying to create sort of another over and over iteration of the same quote unquote user that they're creating for me, are they really giving me feedback that seems like it would meet this becoming or from the same person over and over and over? Or are they kind of just spewing out any sort of feedback indiscriminate of what guidelines I give it? So despite all of these sort of challenges they're facing and the changes that are being implemented in practice, some of the outcomes and benefits they're noting is that there is faster prototyping happening. There's a lot of increased design agility. So they're able to not only come up with visualizations, but actual content that is much different than what they have been able to come up with. And just general enhanced user personalization throughout all of it. So again, coming up with those sort of quote unquote fake users that they have, they're coming up with really distinct, unique, diverse groups of people. So this has been great for them. So if we go to the next case study, I don't know if Dayon can switch it for me. Perfect, thank you. So this next one actually looks at semiconductor manufacturing kind of at a broad scale, because this is something that's happening across the entire field of work. But a lot of these semiconductor companies are actually using AI to essentially take the jobs of these sort of junior engineering positions, things that just require a lot of like data analysis, rote work, things like that. So really what the outcome from looking at a lot of different kind of case studies in this field is that there's a real emphasis on fusion skills or bridge skills, which really means really emphasizing technical expertise and sort of these very unique, very human type skills, which kind of get clumped under AI literacy. So what we kind of talk about here with these bridge skills or these fusion skills is it's taking that humanness from your AI literacy and your domain expertise and kind of finding the unique spots where humans are the strength rather than the computer. So here, it's your ability to actually validate AI recommendations, refine the prompts that's being input into the AI, and actually integrating the AI outputs into the operations that are happening on the floor or on the site. So these are all things that AI has sort of not yet been able to overcome humans in. So that's really what the emphasis is for this industry. And one quote that I kind of pulled out from it that I really liked, it says, In high stakes domains like chip making, AI doesn't replace engineers, it amplifies them, but only if engineers can speak AI. So, there's this sort of doomsday mentality around, oh, it's like taking these junior engineer jobs, when really what it's taking is like the sort of rote, memorizable sort of information type things that they're responsible for. The kind of like, you go get my coffee, you go write up this report for me type thing. Which, if we can get rid of that kind of wasted time, it's like, why not do it? So these engineers are now actually entering this workforce specifically, and able to jump right into operationalizing the outcomes from AI. And then we have one more case study for you guys. If Dayoung can, there we go. Thank you. So this one, we really kind of at a high level just want to look a bit more at what these hiring priorities are looking like now that we know what AI looks like in the workforce. So this is also from McKinsey's State of AI. It's another report they've come out with recently. It says, as AI adoption accelerates, companies are actually reshaping their hiring priorities. They're focusing on AI fluency, cross-functional capabilities, and responsible AI readiness. So kind of re-emphasizing everything that was talked about with those fusion skills. These would all fall underneath that. So what this means for our talent is that your skills with AI are no longer something that makes you special. It is a baseline need. So if you go in there with no AI capabilities, no experience whatsoever with AI, you're kind of at the bottom of the barrel, which is unfortunate. So I want to pull out some specific areas they talked about. We have hiring new roles, retraining existing engineers, then they have some needs for governance and safety skills, and then of course our cross-disciplinary qualifications. So when it comes to hiring new roles, they say that 55% of companies using AI report hiring for new AI-related roles in 2023. And these are especially in the areas of engineering, data science, and AI governance, which I think we all kind of expect. When we get to retraining existing engineers, they say that over 40% of their respondents retrained engineering teams to work alongside with AI systems. So 60% of the workforce is receiving zero information on AI, how to use it. If it's being implemented in their companies, there's no expectation for training on it. So this is also something that's kind of a gap in the workforce that they're going to need to supplement somehow, hopefully with the new engineers coming in. When we get to governance and safety skills, companies talk about there's a growing emphasis on hiring engineers who actually understand the risks associated with using these models, how to implement the AI responsibly, so things like data privacy, recognizing hallucinations, the biases, and then their ability to actually interpret what AI is saying. And then again, just to reemphasize, these cross-disciplinary skills are, of course, the sort of peak skills that we need right now. So there's a real increasing demand for engineers who can bridge the outcomes from those AI systems with their domain expertise and their sort of humanity, and actually implement those into practice. So these are our case studies. I'll hand it back to Dayoung, and hopefully they gave you a bit of insight into what this actually looks like in practice. So.
Okay, thank you so much, Bailey. For the specific use cases, I believe we can get more insights from the practitioners panels that we invited to this workshop. So let's stay tuned. But then it's time to imagine the future engineering workforce. So and before we delve into that reflection and discussion, I can introduce a few projections about the workforce demand. Actions, in some like specific engineering fields like software developers and civil engineers and aerospace engineers and electrical and electronics and computer hardware engineers. So there are many different aspects or counter into it, but the bottom line this suggests is like AI will reshape roles, but it will not eliminate the need for the engineers. In fact, the demand for engineers who can work effectively with AI is expected to rise. But this is just a projection, so no one knows what will happen. So now whatever, whether you agree or not is completely up to you, and that can be an interesting point of discussion. So then based on what we all discussed now, what one skill or mindset do you think we should start cultivating now for engineers of 2023? So since it's almost time to invite the guest speakers, we can just like individually reflect on like for 1 minute and share one quick thoughts after the reflection. So I will give you 1 minute to think about it and invite one person for sharing their thoughts. Okay, so anyone want to share their immediate thoughts? We will have more time to discuss this as we proceed with this workshop. But I'm curious if you have any thoughts to share immediately.
This was fast. That's true. Not 5 minutes without we need more time. But one thing that we thought it's pretty clear that is needed is this ability to read science, to understand how do I say that, the interdisciplinary point. So if you can identify, the engineer can identify what he doesn't know, and he has to have this the communication skills to know people and to know who he can call, right? So call Ghostbusters for the problems you have. So that's the thing we believe in that.
Okay, thank you very much for sharing. So I think now we are ready to move to the panel discussion.
Thank you. I think about our students in the field of engineering, we now have to think more about tech literacy. It's very important for us to understand about the technology and our students too. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so I believe now we have separate moderator for this panel discussion after the 30-minute professional panel presentation.
Thanks for nodding. Oh. Well, I was like, spot on, you're spot on.
All right. Hi, everyone. We start. All right. So the microphone is for the online people. So for people here, you have to listen to me, okay? Without AI. So I'm Fabio. I'm very happy to be here. Thanks to the organization for inviting me. Let me introduce myself because I guess there's a reason why I'm here. I'm director of the Universidade de São Paulo Center for Artificial Intelligence. This is a university-wide center that congregates lots of people. We have about 100 faculty members from all kinds of fields participating. People from law, from economics, from political science, of course, from engineering, computer science. I'm from engineering. I see several colleagues here. It's very nice to see people interested in artificial intelligence. And actually, the headquarters of the center are downstairs. If you go to the first floor, there's some space. You can see what it is like to be a member of the center. Okay. So that's all I had to say. I'm just here to introduce the speakers. So the first speaker is Igor. What? Okay. Oh, sorry. So we have one speaker. So we have time for him. We actually have two speakers, but one of them is a meeting outside. So it's Andrei Capetti from Deloitte Consulting. So he'll not be able to make it. But we'll have Igor Marinelli speaking about his experience as founder and CEO at a very, very nice, well-known startup. It was a startup. I think now it's a big one. It's still, it's a big company now. So Igor will say a few things about Traction, the company he has founded. I think many people have seen this company in the news and newspapers. So we'll get to know, to learn about his experience in this company. This will be like 10 minutes. Yeah, and then we'll open the question, the discussion, and people can express what they're thinking and say whatever they want. That will go for maybe half an hour, and then we'll have a little bit earlier lunch. Okay? All right? Thank you. So, Igor, the floor is yours.
Thank you, appreciate it. Let the consultants out, the entrepreneurs can. That's good. So just, let you understand the audience here. Is there any entrepreneur out here in the wild? Show up your hands if you founded a company before or right now. Yeah. Show up your hands. Don't be shy. Up. Okay. 4 or 5 is good. Do you know Traction? Show up your hands if you. I don't. Okay, good. So I'm going to spend a little bit more time on Traction than it's going to be important. So, I've done computer engineering at USP, transferred to UC Berkeley, didn't finish neither. So just to account for the statistics of founders that are dropouts, right? This is good. It's the only way. So Traction, I founded 6 years ago. So precisely 6 years ago, 6 years and 7 days, which was 15 September 2019. I was total ignorant. I mean, in the good way, didn't know anything about anything. My father is a machine operator, worked his whole life in the shop floors, 25 years in the same company called International Paper. So truly a manufacturing engineer. So, my upbringing, the classic middle class family in São Paulo, Ipiranga, just making a name for themselves. And I'm a programmer. So, before joining USP, I've coded many programs, many websites. The first application that I have done was a supply chain inventory system. I was 13. I built that in PHP. I sold to a Portugal Portuguese from Portugal motorcycle manufacturing company. So that's how I got into my way into manufacturing. And just to finalize that story, but the day that I found the traction, I bought 40 domains on the internet. So traction.com, .com.mx, .pl, .de, .jp, because I remember looking at Siemens' website and they had outrageously 190 headquarters. Like it's just, so this is a testimonial of like manufacturing, how manufacturing is the same thing, whether you are in Brazil, the US, or Germany. Germany is a little bit different. But Brazil and US and Mexico, I mean, the Americas, it has the same manufacturing identity for sure, which means messy, and perfect for us. Because one day I was talking with some Japanese vice president of Hins, which is a camera company in Japan, and I was talking to him this concept about predictive maintenance, and he was like, "What is that?" I was like, "Yeah, because people don't maintain properly their machines, and then you have to monitor it." It's like he didn't understand. Like never heard of that in Japan. People maintain things properly here, so not here though, not in the US as well. And then, just 2 years without any revenue whatsoever. And then the last 4 years, just growth. So I've been very fortunate. Today, Traction has 550 people. Our headquarters is in Atlanta, Georgia. And then we have an office in Mexico City and São Paulo, of course. The goal of Traction is to utilize hardware, software, and AI before even generative AI. So we were doing neural networks and so on. Now we're also applying generative AI, of course. But our whole goal is to provide machine uptime. So you have a factory, you want to boost and overclock your assets, Traction is for you. Let's say you have a factory and you're like, I'm fine, things don't break as often here. I'm good with revenue and we don't need to produce more, then Traction is not for you. So today we work with 1,000 manufacturers, some big names, some small names. That's a good thing about manufacturing as well. So we work with a ice cubes manufacturer, water manufacturer in the US that you have no idea of their name. But we also work with Kraft Heinz, Embraer, Harvard. Good. I forgot to mention it. Because Harvard monitors all their HVAC, chiller units, all of their lab equipment with Traction. So then it's not a factory, it's a little bit different, so that they don't have any unexpected breakdown. And the way we use generative AI is quite simple. So in the manufacturing plant, historically, there's always been a guy, that guy being my father, and now, my customers have also the age to be my father, which is kind of funny. When I was selling initially, I was thinking if I would dye my hair and so on and so forth to look more legit. But essentially, they are 25 years there. They have all the knowledge on how to maintain a specific asset. So what we're trying to do is how do you translate that brain into insights for younger generation entering manufacturing that have first of all, they don't have that time. They're hopping jobs like crazy. There's labor shortage as well. So in the US, for example, for every 100 jobs in manufacturing, they can only fulfill 73 of those. So there's a 30% gap there in skilled labor. Who would have thought that AI would replace programmers first than people on manufacturing facilities? But that's true. I mean, we don't envision a world still where machines are auto-maintainable. It would require many iterations of robotics just to even think about, a robot cannot even serve properly beer at a bar. So in order to unassemble a motor or replace a bearing, so it's just very futuristic still. Boston Dynamics been trying it and it didn't make it. So, but what we're doing essentially is, what is a factory? A factory is a bunch of Legos or Legos of all different types of brands, right? So WEG WEG, like you properly know, Siemens, Schneider, Rockwell, Honeywell, and you all put them in pieces and assemble a production line to spit out something. Now that something doesn't matter for us. We don't care. We care about the Legos. And the Legos is essentially breaking down, kind of confidential. So here's a question for you if you want to throw that later. We break down kind of confidential materials from equipment manufacturers because we need to understand what's happening there fundamentally with all the components that's inside the machine. And we're going to monitor this. We're going to enrich with the data sheets. We crawl all over the internet, get every possible file that we can have our hands on. So our models today are proprietary. They're trained on more than 3 billion files of equipment manufacturers. And we're trying to understand how a failure occurs. And we go to the extreme. So we have a 10,000 square meters facility here in Sao Paulo, where we buy the equipment from the manufacturer, we tear it down, we understand what happens, we simulate a failure, we do accelerated, accelerated, it's called HALT, forgot now, accelerated aging, to essentially understand how this machine will operate in the wild. So we do empirical AI testing before shipping that to production, shipping that to our customers, so that they can, essentially speaking, say that their machine lacks lubrication, go there and grease it, say that it's misaligned, go there and fix it. So it's very, very, very specific, right? So fundamentally, that's it. We also have a partnership with NVIDIA. We have bare metals at our office as well. We train on bare metals. Once it's stable, we ship that to AWS, being the main partner, once it's in production. So you can kind of think about Fraction as like a niched, very niched, proprietary manufacturing GPT, right? So what you're going on ChatGPT today, if you ask, hey, I have this WEG motor W22, there's a problem here, what do I do? You can do that test. It's going to tell you, read the manufacturer specification. We don't have access to that file. So like that very niched sector where the data is not available, the text is not available to train, GPT is basically junk. So it cannot do any good. So, I think we were talking about the data here, and data is very important. Not only that, after the generative layer comes the neural network layer. So the neural network layer is a classic AI that's boring at this point, but is so good. It has to be definitive. It has to be to pinpoint exactly what's happening. And then essentially the neural networks are reversing engineering that machine. And it's, it's still very effective. Still very effective. The way to work this if you need, if you cannot pair with generalistic results, right? So feels funny to hold a microphone and the sound is not, for the online, the sound is not. Is it even working, guys that are online there? Okay. So, what else here? Oh, also, just to finalize, we, a little bit more stats. Just this year, we've published 49 patents on the hardware plus software field, so it's still very important. And that's it. I guess we're doing all this boring stuff, and very hard to balance out those 3 layers that I told you all. I think just the last piece that I'm going to share before opening for questions. It is just very uncommon to be able to succeed with a company that does, so many areas from hardware to AI to software. When we were starting, fortunately or unfortunately, we don't have a dime of Brazilian investors today at our cap table. They're all Americans, because Brazilians are very risk averse. We've been essentially producing copycats of startups that are out there, and any startup in Brazil finishes with pay, right? Something pay, whatever pay, Mercado pay, whatever. And it's unfortunate. It's very B2C centric, consumer oriented. investors here are still very risk averse for technology, for anything that is deep tech per se, which in the US, that's obviously not the case. There have been many iterations of companies that have succeeded doing the best of both. I didn't talk a lot about hardware. We can open for questions, but thankfully, when I started computer engineering, I was totally unaware that hardware was part of the agenda. And I remember fighting the people at USP here, like, this is useless. I don't understand, because I was already a software engineer and I had to bear 50% of the agenda being hardware, and that was great. Because, hardware is no more than an enabler of the physical world, and many, many companies were built. And because you ignore hardware, you ignore what's happening at the physical world, and then you cannot build a great company this way. So happy to open for questions. Any, provocative questions, happy to take it. Those are even better, actually, if you have something. Okay, well.
So we'll open for questions. I see there's one hand already. Maybe other people will be motivated to ask. I have questions too. So I would like.
That's great. Questions are great.
Maybe some people in education, they'll be more skeptical of what you can do with AI in terms of interacting with students and getting positive stuff out of human beings rather than machines. So maybe at some point you will return to this, and I'll ask again, what is it that you see in AI in education, your background and your experience? Let me first open for maybe you.
I have one. Thank you. So first of all, thanks for stealing my first question. Not nice. It's okay. So my next question would be, that would be the first one. So what you see in education, of course, but the second question would be, who do you hire as an employee today?
Oh, perfect. So the first question, I have no idea. I just found out that this was about education when I got here. So you guys can reply to that one. I have no idea. I think I'm here because of the last piece, the generative AI stuff, not the first part. The second part, I hire, as many PhDs as I can get, right? So I remember initially, because I'm a dropout, it's funny, because I used to post very, very hard, requirements, right? Those requirements that you look at a requirement like that person doesn't exist type of requirement. I was posting those. And I was approached by a bunch of people saying that it's very hypocritical because you're even a dropout. So yes, if you want to be, an entrepreneur, you can drop out yourself as well. But here I want the best, and it's not the dropouts. It's the dropouts are very generalistic. They're building stuff. It can work. It cannot. It's very risk centric. But and they're very cross domain. But I'm truly looking at that T intersection, so to say, right? You have to go very deep to create amazing things. So and happy to say that we pay the best salaries. We're not cheap. More than 45% of the company today has equity. So that's more than 250 people. It's just what it takes to create and I also on that hiring and culture stuff. Culture is very generalistic. You can say a bunch of bullshit, but for example, people say, whatever is that phrase from Ambev, which is dreaming big or dreaming small, it's the same effort. I don't fucking get it. I think it doesn't make any sense to me because I think everything that with all our achievements are a consequence. I don't understand, honestly, putting a number out there and hey guys, we're chasing that and motivating people by that. So we don't do that bullshit. We're as long as today we have the best people, the interests are aligned, the problem is understood, and we're very technical and very passionate. I mean, every number out there is like a consequence, right? So what I'm looking is just a passion. I'm looking for how much do you love, what do you do? Forget our company, forget, I mean, because if you come here and say, I really like traction, that doesn't matter to me. I mean, it doesn't matter. Because 90% of the time you're going to be doing your domain. Like you better fucking love what you do. Because otherwise you're like, imagine a salesperson. Do you like to sell? I sort of got into it. Then fuck off. Like, I mean, what do you mean? You have to just freaking love that functional thing that you do in order to produce great stuff. So we embrace it. We love that technicality. It's definitely a little bit more flat, the structure, than my board members would like. That's a whole other topic, but yeah.
Questions?
Can I thank you for the nice talk? My question is related to the field I work with, which is material science, okay, materials engineering. You talk about that you are monitoring, let's say, an angle that's not right, or let's say temperature or humidity, this kind of thing that's macroscopic. But when you go into microscopic situations, sometimes things fail because, let's say, the manganese composition is off by 0.1%, let's say. My question is, do you have any example that you can cite that you could fix, or you could understand this kind of behavior of a part in an industry? Or do you hire material scientists as well in your company? Or would you hire my students?
Amazing question. I mean, we don't do material science today. Our focus is mainly on PhD on mechanical engineering, electrical engineering, and obviously anything related to data science. But this is great, right? Like makes a lot of sense. When you're predicting, it's sort of funny, because what happened is prediction, I've realized, after 6 years doing it, we sell prediction, right? We sell what's going to happen tomorrow at your asset, and you believe it, and you go there and do something before it happens. So, but that's funny, because in order for something to be assertive or not, it's totally related to timing, essentially. So we've realized that there is this human component to it that's very big. So our data science up to nowadays are like, holy shit, what's happening here? Because there's human reinforcement learning. You have to be able to produce a system that the humans will say, this is not a failure to me. This doesn't matter. It lacks lubrication? No, it's lubricated. And we have to believe it, or at least we have to build that reverse mechanism that coaches our model false information. And they have to believe it. It's almost like you're talking with ChatGPT and trying to convince them of something. And they say, okay, it doesn't matter. Okay, you're right. The president of the United States is Bolsonaro. You're right. Like, I forgot, So, and we have to do this because of what you're saying, a bearing at a paper facility that runs 24/7, that, paper facilities are great as well, like pulp and paper, because the only place that money comes from trees, literally, right? So a bearing failure there can be catastrophic compared to their cost of downtime. So they want to be alarmed on the earliest time. But if you do that at Kraft Heinz, the ketchup manufacturers, they don't give a shit. They're like, tell me 10 days before, 5 days before, 2 days before, it is almost burning. Because it is, the cost per downtime is like 10 times less. And in materials engineering, of course, you have from oil viscosity that's going to affect. You have the density of the materials that's going to change everything. You have false positives because they are process false positives. You have, now you're producing a different type of paper. Before you were producing A4, now you're producing kraft paper, cement paper. It's going to affect. But we don't do that today. So we know that that there's a problem there, we're still not doing anything about it.
Yeah. There's something you can do about it.
Okay. I'm sorry if his questions is similar to mine because I didn't hear very well what he asked, okay? But if I understood, correct me if I'm wrong, but you are working with horizontal integration of the supply chain, is that? All right. I was thinking about if you use artificial intelligence or something like this to prevent or to simulate the impact of the production or the impact of the product or logistics in the environment. How you're using it or not to prevent the climate problems.
Yeah. So, the question is essentially, basically, how do you account for supply chain and in all of this? And this is another possible market expansion, which is there's a lot of like forecast and demand forecasting and in supply chain. You can get smarter as well in the way that you purchase. Absolutely, because supply chain will effectively purchase a replica of their assets in case that one breaks down so that they can quickly replace it. So you don't need to do that anymore. But supply chain has a big virus that's called SAP. It's worse than cancer. You cannot do radiotherapy and get rid of this. So SAP is horrible. And I mean, SAP has effectively been blocking innovation for years now. For years. I mean, if you say that you have to integrate into SAP in order to get something out of SAP, I mean, your company's dead at this point, right? So unfortunately, that's it. I mean, it's been blocked. It's been the supply chain market has been Trojan horsed by SAP. So it's a matter of accessing that data, and it's almost impossible. It is, consultants. I mean, Deloitte was supposed to be here. They've been profiting out for years just to open up SAP for companies to do stuff, right? I'm talking millions of dollars. Accenture, Deloitte. So it is possible, but we have to create something that's replicable. And because we're not a consulting company. So that is one of the dilemmas of innovation, right? I mean, there's only one ERP that's dominant in the world, which is SAP. And a lot of things are not happening because of SAP.
Other questions? Actually, let me try one. Okay. Because the first one I asked about education, so you said no, but I want to insist. Okay. So suppose Harvard told you, okay, you're now managing my air conditioners. Now I want to manage my students. Would you say no to them? What would you say? Oh, generative AI is great, so let's try. What would you be your first guess, given your experience in manufacturing? Okay, it's a different thing. You don't have strong opinions about, but surely you have opinions. Okay, I'm sure. Do you think it would be a nice place to try generative AI universities? And what would you do first if Harvard told you to do something?
Well, I guess fair enough. I guess the main problem here is like when we were starting the company, we thought, I mean, in other words, do you make an intern be a lawyer with ChatGPT? Like, is your goal to make an intern be a lawyer, or is your goal to make a lawyer faster? And that's a decision that you have to make, right? And we've made that decision and went back and forth many times. First, we thought interns going to be lawyers, right? So in the sense of manufacturing, we wanted people with absolutely zero knowledge to be able to decide on the condition of their assets. Okay, so that there is one. It works until it didn't. Why? Because then you have sectors where this can basically means 100 headcount reduction, 1,000 headcount reduction, and so on and so forth. And it's not that we don't want to reduce. right? It's not, ethics or morale aside, is that it's not possible to reduce. Is that which CEO is going to buy that battle? It is just counterintuitive. No one, if the company is profitable, they're not gonna do anything, which is good as well. So then you have to flip the switch and think, what can these people be doing here if now everything that they were doing, all their careers, knowledge, it's now done in seconds. That's it, right? So when you think about our famous mining company Vale, right? Like, I mean, the same dilemma there. They have headcount of like 1,000 people taking care of condition of assets that can be done in minutes with a software. But then it comes the lawyer faster, which is, it's the rebate effect. Okay, that is not pragmatic. That is not possible. So then you start listening to the users, right? So there's the thing about business to business, especially, that's different than consumers, that business to business, there's an interesting relationship. Whoever is buying the software is not using the software. That is not the consumer world. If you're using it, it's for yourself. In B2B, you're buying it for your team to use it. So then do you listen to the buyer's desires or the team's desires? We've definitely started traction listening to the buyer's desire. I mean, we have to sell. But now, counterintuitively, we're listening to the key users, the team's desire. And we're trying to make it infectious in a good way, right? So providing value for the teams first. Because one thing that definitely changed is that before you could do, you could run a sales cycle and you could say, we do X, Y, Z, we're so great, we work with Fortune 500, people would believe it. Now you say that's like, okay, let me try. Let me see. My technicians want to interact with this. So I think that's like frontline workers have a bigger saying than not. Like they have a bigger saying historically. I mean, just look at SAP again. We're picking on SAP for a reason. SAP is not a choice of key users at all. SAP is the complete opposite. It's a choice of a CFO that wants consolidated financials. Key users hate it. I mean, they hate it. They hate it. It doesn't matter. Now it's mattering. I mean, at least now for the newer companies, users are like, I don't fucking want this. Let us do our forum and decide what we want to use for ourselves. So this is happening because of the popularization of generative AI as well. So it's one of the positives of the negatives that's happening. Definitely, I would say that there's, you mentioned Harvard, there's a study that I can send you, but it's about, how much power the frontline teams they now have versus historically. If more and more companies are, putting them in the center to decide that technology. So it's ultimately education of the frontline worker.
Maybe it's the last question, I don't know. I'm just wondering, when you are talking about the passion to work and the technical skills and everything, and the colleague asked if you would hire the students, but I have two questions. How you hired someone and why you fired someone in your company?
Great. So on the hiring and firing topic again. On the hiring and firing topic, I mean, if we're, again, in the context of traction that we hire very technically, generally firing is not a technical reason. It is a cultural reason. Again, what is culture? We're back to square one. Just a collection of artifacts that the reason why culture is so hard to create is that you want a place that you have zero diversity in attitude. and diversity in opinions and ideas. How do you create that? You don't want people different in attitude. Like, you know, if you're saying, oh, we go after it, everybody has to go after it. If you're saying problems are urgent, then problems are urgent for everybody. So you sort of see how difficult it is to have a place like that, but you also want people challenging, and you also want ideas from everywhere and so on. So I think the problem historically is the following. Like, the thing that I tell everybody, I mean, this is everybody, every meeting, I'm like, this is how Traction makes decisions. And sort of is contrarian to a couple of people, but if you're not aligned with my vision, get out. Because it's just a matter of time that I find out that you're in the company. Now, you have the right to change and challenge my opinions and so on and so forth, because ideas come from everywhere. For example, last week, I've sent an email to the whole company. I want to hear your idea. Got 250 responses, and I've tabled everything. I was seeing the overlaps and so on and so forth. That's a great exercise. A lot of CEOs, they don't do it because they don't fucking care, because they have so many layers to access them. So I try not to have any layer to talk with everybody. But then, so it's all about autonomy, right? So autonomy is essentially companies, successful companies, don't have autonomy on the what. CEO decides the what. Some people dislike it, but that's the reality. I decide what we do. And that's a pleasure, actually. It's a privilege. It's like if my work is to select what you're going to build, and I spend a lot of time in that, then it comes the autonomy on the how. Then the teams, they decide how we get there. But so imagine you're going up a mountain. You cannot have people questioning, are we going to that peak or that one or that other, or are we going to the lake? That is where companies get lost. That is where Google ultimately doesn't know what the fuck they're doing, because they have people going to peaks and mountains and lakes and fucking deserts, right? So Apple doesn't, Tesla doesn't, SpaceX doesn't. A lot of companies, they don't do it. They're like, that's the peak, that's the fine. Whether you agree or not, just grow fucking up and just, that's the peak. Now, but there's the trail. The trail is fun. Because then you have the best people, they have some sort of like scouts mindset. A mentalidade de escoteiro. The scouts mindset is, that's where people get lost, is in the trail. You're going up the trail, you see trash. Then there's average employee, they do like this on the trash. And they go up. They go up and they generally endure a long time in companies. They just keep trash. They see bottles, water bottles, they see fandangos, fucking. They let it there and they just go up. That's average employees. The bad employees, they stop everyone and they're like, there's a lot of trash here, guys. Let's create a committee. And then they stop going up. Let's create a committee and we're gonna pick up trash. And then they create small NGOs inside companies. The best employees are the scouts. They have a fucking trash bag litter. And they're fucking picking up the trash and putting in their bag and going up. So they're carrying more weight as they go up to dispose somewhere appropriately. And you see that in programming. Programming, there is the biggest refactoring debate ever. Refactoring is, if you say that for any CTO, they're like, ugh, they have shivers. They're like, oh my God, they're gonna start again. Refactoring, every company, when they ship out code, it's effectively old already. The moment that you ship out, it's old. Now with AI, it's getting worse. It's getting worse. Codes are worse. They're more verbose. They're horrible. There's actually going to be a profession of people fixing vibe coding because they're trash, right? So there's a lot of trash in the way now. Then historically, I mean, again, I think when the process becomes the goal is when companies get lost, right? So then in programming, you're going to have Scrum Masters, whatever the fuck. They create a bunch of different names. I mean, in project management, I'm the PM bot, I'm this, I'm that. It doesn't fucking matter. Like all of that, you're telling a CEO, I fucking love process more than I love results. That's not how you get there, right? So, for example, we have 300 something software engineers, and we do not use, it's no joke, we do not use anything that is considered agile or modern standards or whatever. So, you know, Scrum, Scrum Master, Scrum whatever, dailies. We use deadlines, due dates, documentation, Kanbans, just easy, just simple stuff. Everybody has to understand, right? So like programmers, they go there and they say, I think this is going to be done, can be a month from now, 2 months from now, 2.5 months from now. Name a deadline. Deadlines are generally fictitious as well. It's just so that you set them and you're going to lose the first deadline. It's by default. So you set them early because you're going to miss them. I already know. And then you set another time. You're going to miss another time, but you're very close. The third time is a charm, right? So, but that's it. It's just the process of building. It's very simple. Doesn't need any complication. When you get rid of like the rituals, and then you just have, you know, the problems you're pursuing in front of you, that's culture. I think that's a good culture. That's a healthy culture. Everybody cares about where are we getting at. And then when you put a bunch of rituals, that generally means a couple of things. It can mean that people are bad. It can mean that the CEO is bad. It can mean that the CEO is so fucking stupid that everybody's like, this guy again. How are we going to shield our organization from this guy's randomness? Some CEOs are bad for their companies. They should leave a long time ago. So, but whatever, right? But that's also not going to be a good culture either, because you're essentially shielding your area from higher management, and you're making it more impossible for them to set your vision for your own area because you don't believe that their vision is good. Makes sense. The monologue here is on the culture. They're frying me up.
Right. So that actually does not resonate because our universities are well run.
I am pretty sure, yeah.
But I guess that's it. Thanks a lot. We appreciate those thoughts. Thanks a lot. Well, I guess now it's lunchtime, right? So thank you.
Tá? Descendo zero, acho que alguém lá vai guiar vocês, que é o que o pessoal está falando. Pessoal, retorno. Deixa eu por favor. Pessoal, retorno. Atenção. Ó, sendo mais cedo, por favor. Vocês vão receber o pessoal que a gente vai levar para vocês. Vocês sobem do Éden, vocês chegam no restaurante assim, vocês descem para as terras. Por favor, pessoal, eu não consigo. Vocês descem para o térreo, viram à direita, saem na área interna, mas que fica fora, externa, do prédio, e daí tem a portaria. Vocês saem e vai direto para o restaurante que fica do outro lado. Tenho certeza que muitos de vocês aqui conhecem, a reunião do pessoal. Sai do outro lado, eles tomem com o seu cachá, vão para o andar de cima, e vocês vão receber um voucher que vocês vão apresentar na saída, e a gente vai estar aqui de volta, a gente vai antecipar um pouquinho, porque está saindo mais cedo. Então, a gente vai começar às 13h30, de volta aqui dentro, tá bom? Obrigado. Então é isso, obrigado a vocês. Prazer em conhecer o então, pega um voucher aqui na saída, tá?
A gente consegue usar a traction para dentro do projeto.
Is the session over?
E a gente tem algumas dúvidas, a gente vai conversar com vocês. Eu tenho aqui, o Felipe lá, que é o responsável, mandou
Sorry, Dayon. Sorry, Dayon.
No. Is session over? Excuse me?
Excuse me?
Excuse me?
No, that's okay. Is everything okay? You
Yes,
follow the conversation?
Yes, I could follow the conversation. It seems like the module is over now, right?
Yeah, that's it. So we'll come back at 1:30.
Okay, yeah.
Okay?
Okay.
So see you. Bye.
Okay, see you. Bye-bye.
Daí, mas vou estar conversando com vocês aí. Legal. Eu sou da área de inteligência computacional, como eu sou professor dessa área, legal. Trabalho já com vocês. Deixa eu perguntar, a minha dúvida é, em termos de